words. Two of them you know. You just need to learn one. Would that be doable? Should be. And the song goes like this. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That's the words. How do you say Jerusalem in Hebrew? No. Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. Remember J goes to Y. Yerushalayim. Peace. How do you say peace? Shalom. Okay. And to pray is shalom. Shalom. Okay, so it goes like this. Shalom. Shalom. Yerushalayim. That's three words. That's it. It goes like this. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim. 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 And then it goes up. Shalom, 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 Yerushalayim. Excellent. Very good. Okay, now let me tell you what we're seeing. We're seeing the old city of Jerusalem on the left-hand side, and we will study that very closely tomorrow. That's the walls of the old city, you can see that. Today, Jerusalem is divided into three sections. The old city, that's the smallest part, smallest section. And then West Jerusalem, can you see on the right-hand side with the windmill? West Jerusalem. And that's the Jewish Jerusalem. That's Jewish Jerusalem. And then East Jerusalem is Arab Jerusalem on the left-hand side. And this road that we are taking from the hotel right where we are used to be a border road between the areas that were conquered by the Jordanian army. If you were the lecturer, you would remember what happened in 1948. The state of Israel was born, and immediately the invasion took place. We mentioned that. And we mentioned that the Jews were able to maintain and even enlarge their territory. And the Palestinian proposed state was occupied by the Egyptians in Gaza and the Jordanians here. If you look on the left, can you see those Arab houses on the left-hand side? So Arab houses, the valley. See the valley here? That's the Hinnom Valley or Gehenna in English corruption. Hinnom Valley or Gehenna. So east is Arab Jerusalem. Right where we are, right here, was the no man's land and minefield, right where we are. Left was Jordan. Right was Israel since February 1949, because that's when Israel and Jordan signed the armistice agreement, ceasefire agreement. The old city was part of Jordan, all of it. All of the old city was part of Jordan because the majority, even today, the majority of the population of the old city are Arabs. We mentioned that they invited the Jordanians and the Egyptians to fight on their behalf against the Jews here in 1948. And remember we said that the Jordanians and the Egyptians forgot to leave after the end of the hostilities in 1949. And so all what you see on your left was part of Jordan until 1967. Until for about 20 years, that was part of the country of Jordan. And that was the case until the 6-Day War. And as a matter of fact, what you see here is the nice hotel today, Old Mount Zion Hotel. But it was an English hospital, eye hospital, before that. And again, we are continuing with this border road between Israel and Jordan. That's why they have sort of like a wide road is built today. And we are on the way to Bethlehem, which is about 12 miles from the old city of Jerusalem to the old city of Bethlehem. Roughly about 12 miles. But because today, as you can see, the city of Jerusalem grew bigger than just the old city. It borders with Bethlehem, which grew bigger than just the old city of Bethlehem. So we are bordering each other. The municipality of Jerusalem is bordering the municipality of Bethlehem. So we basically are not going to travel far. It's just going from one side of the road to the other side of the road today. Okay? However, Bethlehem today is not part of the state of Israel. Okay? Because Bethlehem was also part of the areas that Jordanians occupied in 1948, since Bethlehem had only Arab population, no Jews, in the last century. So that's why the Jordanians occupied Bethlehem as part of Judea and Samaria territories with the Arab population. We are now, as you can imagine, in Judea or Judah. Makes sense, right? Because Jerusalem is capital, Judah, right? So we are in Judah or Judea. And the Jordanians kept this territory until another war that broke out in 1967, which is a very interesting war. It's studied in every war academy, military academy, everywhere in the world, because it was such a successful war for the Israelis. And I'm not going into the details of this war per se, but Israelis were able to defeat the Jordanians, the Egyptians, and the Syrians in 2 hours. 2 hours. Now, why is that? Because they were able to shut the air forces in 2 hours. And as soon the Israelis had a superiority in the air, that was a first step to victory. Okay? The first step to victory. How has that happened? You might find that very interesting. It all started with Israeli intelligence. The intelligence worked very, very, very hard, and they were able to get a Russian airplane. You're probably familiar with MiG-21. MiG-21. The Israeli intelligence was able to recruit an Iraqi pilot who hijacked MiG-21 from Iraq to Israel. Can you believe that?
Wow.
From Iraq to Israel, he was recruited by the Mossad, which is like CIA here locally, and he brought this super jet that the Russians developed, and that happened in 1965. So that was the first step. And the second step, they were able to find out per minute what was the schedule of the pilots in Egypt and Syria, how the day started. And the day started at 6 o'clock with the patrol flight over the borders of Egypt and Syria and Jordan as well. And at 7 o'clock they will land, and at 7:15 they go for breakfast, just like we did today. Except Wayne, he slept over. Yeah, right. Okay, it's all your fault. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So they went to breakfast, and guess what? No one was in the air. So Israeli Air Force, guess when they struck? 7:15. They came to the air at 7:15 when there was no one in the air. And of course they were trainings before that and whatnot, but they were able to destroy all the airplanes and the run roads, what do you call them? Runways for the airplanes in Egypt and Syria. So that was the first step for victory. There was a number of ground fightings as well, but that was the major thing. And as a result of that, the Jordanians of the Jordan River. Wouldn't you agree? Right? It's on the west of the Jordan River. And so they lost all their territories from the Jordan River to here, till this very road that we're traveling now, in 1967. And it became known to us as the West Bank. Now, why it is known to us as the West Bank and not part of the state of Israel? Because Israel never annexed this territory and announced it part of the state of Israel. Why is that? Why we didn't do that? Well, the main reason for that is because there was Arab population only in this territory. They were just Arabs, about 1 million Arabs. And this is our constant dilemma or constant threat that in our state, at some point, there will be more Arabs physically than the Jews. And then guess what? There will be no state of Israel anymore. Democratically, they will prevail and change the laws, constitution, whatever, and it will become another country, something, I don't know. And we will lose the majority because today in Israel, the majority is Jewish. Okay, the Arab population of the state of Israel is 20%. We are 80%. So we are by far majority in the state of Israel. So for that main reason, Israel did not declare the West Bank and Gaza part of the state of Israel. Unlike the Golan Heights, you see, the Golan Heights was declared by the state of Israel, part of the state of Israel, because there's no Arabs there. There is no Arabs. There are a couple of Druze villages that we passed on the way. It was the Funny Pants. You remember those folks? And the Israeli settlements that were established there. So there's no Arabs on the Golan Heights. That's why Israel in 1980 annexed the Golan Heights, and we consider that part of the state of Israel. But guess what? No one, including the United States, recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. No one. Okay, with the West Bank, it's a different story. We never declared it part of the state of Israel. However, we suggested in 1967, the Israeli government suggested to negotiate peace treaties with the Arab neighbors, i.e. was Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, in exchange of return of the areas that we conquered. In other words, we will return them the West Bank, we will return them Sinai Peninsula, we'll return them Gaza, everything that we conquered, we'll return them in exchange of peace treaty with the country. Guess what they said? No. Why? Because you have to understand they refuse or reject the very existence of the state of Israel. Okay. So that was rejected. Because of that, Israeli government had a dilemma what to do with the West Bank territories. So they decided to settle them, colonize them with Jewish settlements. And I took some of you folks to my village, or my town. It's not a village, it's a town, where I live. And this is part of this colonization process that we're trying to establish Jewish settlements in the West Bank. And today we have about 300,000 Jewish people, myself inclusive, that are living in the West Bank. However, the situation became difficult because the Arab population was instigated to fight against Israel, and constantly they were continuing a guerrilla war. Do you know how they call it? Freedom fighting. That's what they call it, the freedom fighting. We negotiating with Palestinians. The question was who would represent the Palestinians, and the representatives of the Palestinians were picked up. The organization called the PLO. Ever heard about that one before? Palestinian Liberation Organization. And as a result of that, there were negotiations that were carried on in Oslo, Norway, that led to 1992 in signing the agreement, that Israel will make steps for the establishment of the Palestinian state. How? In which way? That in the West Bank, the control over the Arab population of the West Bank will be given to the Arabs, and the control over the Jewish population, like the town where I live, will be still remain in the hands of Israel. Okay? So that was the agreement. It was not a final settlement between the Palestinians and the Jews, but somewhat of a beginning of negotiations. Okay, because everybody expected after the first Gulf War that we can work together in unity. The Westerners, the Middle Easterners can sit down at the table and do something together. But of course that failed. That failed pretty much. Because in the year 2000, the Palestinians started an armed war against Israel. And that was carried on until 2004, when the leader of the PLO died, Mr. Arafat. And a few weeks ago, they were taking his bones out of his grave, saying that it was the Mossad that poisoned him with some kind of radioactive elements. Well, you know what? I will not be surprised, because it's a Jewish conspiracy everywhere in the world, and all the troubles in the world happen because of the elders of Zion. They sit somewhere in Mount Zion Hotel, somewhere in the basement of that hotel, and they run the world. Out from there. Okay. As a result of the negotiations that took place right after that, we have two zones in the West Bank. The zone that is controlled by the Palestinians and a zone that's controlled by Israelis. What we're going to do now, we're going into the city of Bethlehem, which is populated by the Arabs only. There is no Jewish folks there. That is why it's controlled by the Palestinians. Okay? It's a Palestinian-controlled territory. It's not an independent state yet. It's not recognized by the United Nations as the independent state. Okay? But it's called the Palestinian National Authority. That's the name of it. Palestinian National Authority. Because it's not an independent state, they do not have their own army. They have police forces, but they don't have an army. They don't have their own currency, money, for example. So they take any money. Any money is good there. Can be shekels, can be dollars, can be euros, can be dinars, or the Jordanians, for example, can be rubles or pesos. Doesn't matter what it is, because there is no per se independent currency, since there is no independent state. They cannot do independent foreign policy as an independent state, etc., etc. The idea was to negotiate with the Israeli economy. They collect the olives there, right? Collect the olives. And you can see we're coming to the border now, and the border has been built by Israel in the attempt to protect the Israeli population from ongoing intrusions of various guerrilla groups into Israel. You can see the wall that Israel built unilaterally, etc. Unfortunately, with the Palestinians, there is no one to negotiate right now. What's the reason that there is no negotiations right now? Is because the Palestinians are bringing conditions or preconditions for negotiations. That's Israeli checkpoint. Preconditions of the negotiations. They demand three major things. They demand the return of Israel to the 67 borders. That's one thing, which is difficult for us because we already have Israeli settlements, like my hometown where I live, with 300,000 people. Folks, don't do the photographing, Benjamin. That's not good.